all of you today. I see some familiar faces. I see some new faces. Congratulations to every single one of you that earned the privilege to be here, and those of you that have come back. I know that you've already embraced this whole experience. You probably already have incredible memories made. You probably are already shifted with some big changes that you're going to make, or even just small changes that you can make that will have a huge difference. I'm so having FOMO watching all my girlfriend nationals there and me not there. Can I just tell you, I think we get as much, if not more, being around each other. So I'm looking forward to seeing you guys in August. And I am teaching today on building your, and this is the biggest challenge. They put me at 3:30 right after y'all had lunch. You're probably ready for a nap, but we're waking you up today. So my topic is building your visual roadmap to NSC. Building your visual roadmap to NSC. And unfortunately, I haven't heard what you all have already shared today. So usually I like to hear that and I can alter sort of what I'm going to share. But I did pray about it. And I know that God has put in my heart exactly what you individually need to hear. Maybe some of you are going to go, she's talking directly to me. And some of you, it might be a refresher. And some of you, you know, it's going to be, you know, a confirmation of what you already know. So I want to share with you, though, one example, though, because right now you all are maybe in different places in your business, but if you are there, you are where I was 3 years before I became a national sales director. And I had, you know, some of you may be even further to that point, because I had 3 offspring, had like 13 offspring, and then went down to 3 when I made the real decision to go national, and we did it in 2.5 years after that. But I want to share with you some shifts because, you know, the roadmap is, this is the roadmap, right? You all should have the handouts that I gave them. The, and the, you know, my offspring national in Colombia had a visual of this with all of her people on it, their faces. And this is just basically, you know, first, how many first line directors you need, how many seniors you need, how many car drivers, and how many second lines, and then the qualifications underneath. For those of you that like to see it in writing, it's this way as well. I personally am a roadmap kind of person. I need to see the whole, like I'm the kind of person that likes the calendar that is 1 month at a glance. I like to see the whole picture in front of me. And I feel like this one right here is good for tracking, but not as good for visualization. And for me, I just like this better. And I like seeing people's faces because I connect more with them. And by the way, I do have this form right here on an email version. I can email to Diane or whomever to make sure that you all get it. And you can actually customize it and add your people's faces in those boxes. Yay. Okay. Huh? So I have to give credit to one of my friend Kathy's assistants that did it. I worked with her on it. But anyways, so yeah, so when you get the email, you can click on the generic one and you can actually type in what you want and then put the people's faces. And of course, those might change. But for me, I needed to have that connection. And so this is the thing, you guys, your people do not need to see this visual roadmap. This visual roadmap is for you. You know, it's for me, I put this in a sheet protector and I literally, everywhere I went, it was with me. You know, some of you might have a goal poster in your office and that's fine, but literally everywhere I went, this went with me. And I also, this was back when like I could actually put the people's phone numbers, but you're going to have these people in your phone. So when I'd go on my morning walk, believe it or not, I would take this with me and I would pray over each person and I would call each person while on my walk. And so you put in the faces of the people that are already directors and or DIQs. So if you have empty boxes, I would write in who your key people are in pencil, because again, it just, your brain will your brain will want to fill in those boxes. And so again, we might need to erase some people and add some different ones, but I will tell you, one of my directors that helped me become a national before she was a director, she happened to just see this piece of paper in my hand at a meeting, like on accident. I was just holding it and she looked at it and she saw her name in one of the boxes. And she was like, oh my gosh, like, you really think I could be one of those people? And I was like, oh my gosh, absolutely, of course. And she became an offspring who had an offspring, a senior director. But that, to her, she says, was so pivotal because I believed in her, and I wasn't even telling her she was on there. Does that make sense? I mean, I was working with her and, you know, all of that stuff, but for them to see this. So, I think it's sometimes better they don't always see it, because then there's a pressure on their part, you know. So I have one offspring director almost on her way to NIQ in Columbia, and then one that finished. And, you know, the one that's not there really, you know, she's like, I'm not even going to show it to them, because they felt a little bit of pressure. So when she was working with them, she felt like it was more for her to reach her goal. So you just don't know. People are going to have their own limiting beliefs anyway. But again, you can choose to share this with them or not. But for me, it was more of a working document. Okay. And so you don't need to share this with your area. Gotcha. So unless you feel that they're ripe and they're ready, and that's going to motivate them. Okay. So, but again, I think having the faces there makes the connection between you and them, because, you know, it just makes a difference, at least for me anyway. So anyways, I hope that this helps. And so in talking about your roadmap to NSD, I want to share with you a story of, a top coach here. I live in Orlando, and the University of Central Florida is here in Orlando. And 3 years ago, that university had a football team that was 0-12, which means they won 0 games out of 12. And I went to school there 30 years ago. I know, when I was 2. So anyway, when I was there 30 years ago, they were still that kind of losing team. They were never a winning team. Not when I was there, not when I left, not a decade later or 2 decades later, until this coach stepped in. And I share that with you because many people, I know Heidi Gelzer shared with us at our meeting on Friday, she said, you know, I have a hot shot right now that was in a director's unit who quit. And she wasn't ready then, but she's ready now. And I get the benefit because I'm still here. And also, I think the part she left out that was important is that she's a different kind of leader. Does that make sense? So you all are that kind of leader. And I want you to think about that. Or are you? Are there some places that you can improve? And so 3 years ago, this coach walks into this notorious losing team. And that same year, you guys, well, actually 2 years after he got there, they became a 13-0 team, which means they won 13, lost none, and won the championships. So it was crazy for the whole town. But think about that. Most national sales directors make their decision to become national sales directors just 2 to 3 years before it actually happens. It doesn't matter how long you've been in. And so sometimes it's just that shift and that pivot in your thinking that makes all the difference. But it has to start today. And I want you all to think about that. It doesn't matter where you've been. It doesn't matter what you've accomplished. But today you're going to be Coach Frost, who walked into that locker room and he said 2 things to that team that changed the team. The first thing he shared with the team, he said, number 1, you are not having fun. You are not having fun. And number 2, you really don't care about each other. You know, you're just kind of in it here to do your game, play your game, and move on. And so those 2 things, he sort of built a culture around that. And, you know, when you stop having fun in your business, even if your basic need isn't fun and pleasure, you've got to have fun along the journey. You've got to have peace along the journey. And so ask yourself, you know, so let me just go back to that. So then after that, they won many, many, many games. And when they got to the end of the season, one of the main players was interviewed and was like, what are you guys doing? Like, what's going on here? You know? And he replied with, all we can do is keep winning games. All we can do is keep winning games. And I thought, what a great attitude. Like, why not ask, like, well, just keep winning games. Just keep getting out there and getting a win. And now he goes, we just come out here and we got to just keep winning games. And now there's no one left to beat. Imagine that. So what if we went out there and we go, all we got to do is keep getting bookings and adding a new team member. And now here we are. That's kind of how it goes. So he also said that the players knew their plays well and executed them. We can know our plays and know what we need to do, but are we executing them? Are our people executing them? And so sometimes we can look at our big goal and we can't see the win. And it might seem intimidating, it might seem impossible, especially if we base it on past experiences or past legacies in our area. Just like these players could have based that season on the legacy of that university and chosen that to be their identity. So I want you all to select a new identity for you and your growing area, okay? Another thing I noticed is during the very last game of the season, which they won, it was a crazy game. It was like down to the wire. But I will say, no matter how the game looked, the coach was unshakable and unemotional, with or without touchdowns. He was unshakable and unemotional. And so as women, we tend to be so emotional, over some losses, some lost plays. And if we can learn to control those emotions, no matter what it looks like. And when you can disconnect the emotion from the behavior and actions of others, you can stay focused on the win. It doesn't mean, that you got to play with full heart all the way, right? And you got to play full out. And in this business, you do have to play with heart. It's funny. I texted one of my directors literally before halftime of that game because I could just see it. I could just see it in the fans. I could see it in the players. And I said to her, the will to win, baby, the will to win trumps it all. And I knew they were going to win the game well before halftime. And sure enough, they did, by the skin of their teeth, but they did. And I want you to think about that. What is your will to win? Because when you have that will to win and there are no other options and you're joyful in it and you're passionate in it, then it trumps everything else. It trumps every great idea. It trumps every other thing that you can do. So you have to have that will to win first, for you to be able to transfer it to everyone else. Okay, so the other thing I want to share with you guys is, let me go back to the coach and what he said. So are you having fun in your business? Are you having fun in your business? Are you enjoying the journey? If you're not, fix it. Do you need more help in the office? Or do you not have any help? Do you need to change your help? Like your assistant really annoys you? I don't know. What is it that you might need to do? And being excited about your people and connecting with your people. But what is it that you need to change to enjoy the journey? For me, I used to say all the time, and I still do, I love my life. I love my life. And it showed because I literally look back and I go, oh my gosh, it takes a village. I had my housekeeper that cooked for me. She did my laundry. She took, she wasn't really my nanny, but she was there at least 3 days a week at the house. So if I had to leave to go to an appointment, I didn't have to worry about childcare. I had my mom as backup. I had my mother-in-law as backup. My kids actually never had babysitters aside from that, but whatever it is, like, do you need to delegate grocery shopping? Whatever, to free yourself. As women, we can multitask. There's no question. We can be good at it, but it doesn't free our mind of the emptiness to draw in what God is trying to whisper to us. And it's in those moments when we're not multitasking, it's in those moments that we can be laser focused in, what do I need to do? What do I need to do? And sometimes it's that one whisper in that moment that really has the biggest impact. And so if we're multitasking and doing it all, which we can, we're not going to be as effective and we're not going to enjoy the journey, right? And that shows. Your people see it. You should walk into your meeting looking like $1 million, fresh as can be. And whether you have to get there extra early or earlier that day to set up or have somebody else set up for you, I would have it taken care of. And then I'd always get to my meeting 30 minutes earlier and dance around the room. I would literally turn on the music and dance and sing around the room just to change my energy vibration. And music to me does that anyways. It might be something else for you. Okay. So the other thing I want to share with you is as you're looking at your picture here, some of you might get a little frustrated because maybe you've done this before and you're like, I'm still looking at the same people, or I need to, whatever that is. And I want you to know, I was listening to a sermon the other day where the pastor said the detour is for your destiny. The detour is for your destiny. And he talked about, to be successful, everything starts with a seed. And in this business, we plant seeds. Would you agree? I was talking to one of my directors that just did finish Court of Sales 2 months early without even thinking about it. It wasn't really even her goal. She changed one thing in her business. One thing. We talked about doing 1 power hour a day. I remember being a $500,000 director, and Monique Todd, who was a $1 million director, said, I have a power hour every day, and I had been doing it. And I'm like, good, I'm on the right track. Because we can always feel like there's so many things to get done. And how do we know what we're doing is getting us to where we need to go? So for me, by having 1 hour first thing before I do anything in the morning of outgoing calls, and preferably only personal booking appointments or personal business, I can do anything because I won't be brought down by my consultant's negativity or director's negativity. I'm excited because I've got personal guests coming to my meeting, so I'm going to bring my A game. You know, we always operate differently, don't we? When we're at our success meeting and we have a personal hot shot there, even if we have unit guests, we always operate differently when we have a personal guest. And so, so we have to get good. So 1 hour a day, every single day. She goes, all I changed was that. I didn't focus on bookings. I didn't focus on recruits. She got 7 recruits in 1 month. I mean, she's got a lot of momentum going, but her one focus was just the 1 hour a day. Okay. Everything stems from that, right? Everything stems from a booking. Even when I was an NIQ and I felt out of control because you can't control 12 units at one time or 20 units at one time. I could always control my bookings. So I would still continue to do my booking time. So that is one way to plant seeds. What are you doing regularly, consistently to plant a seed, right? So that's the first thing, is planting that seed for your area. And the second step of the process of growth is when you've got the roots that are growing underground, but you can't see it. Would you agree? So you've got the seed, but you don't, from the surface, you don't see any growth. But there is growth happening just underground. And this is a stage where, you know, you might be out there doing power start after power start, and nothing seems to be like, where's my hot? You've gotten some recruits, and maybe nobody's really stepped up to be a DIQ or what have you. And so, but that's very important because the stronger the roots are, the more foundation you're going to have. And when turbulent times come, it won't be uprooted. And so it is important to continue to plant seeds, regardless of whether you see results yet, because that's where the roots are going to grow, and they're going to grow deep. Okay. The third stage is the breakthrough stage, And that's when the little bitty twig, little bitty twig comes up from the ground, right? And you're like, really? You put in all this work, and that's what I got, a little twig to show for it? And that twig could be representative in so many ways in our business. Would you agree? It could be that person that joins that we think is going to be the hot shot. She joins and she just disappears, or she gets into DIQ and doesn't finish, or whatever that may be. But we just see a little twig, and so we can get a little discouraged because now we finally see some progress, and it's not big enough yet, right? But then comes stage 4, which is the immature plant. The immature plant is where most people quit because they see growth, but yet it's not the growth that they expect. So in our business, it might be, it's a beautiful plant, but it doesn't have fruit yet. You don't have offspring yet. Maybe you have a big unit, but you don't have offspring cropping yet, or not at the rate that you want to be. Okay. So the next stage is the mature plant. And the mature plant is where fruit is added. That's where you start to see the growth. That's where you see DIQs popping. That's where you see things going. And of course, the ideal spot is not just to get to the mature plant level, but to get to where you can reproduce those fruit. You don't want to just produce fruit once. You want to be able to continually reproduce more and more and more fruit, right? And so, the most important thing he said is you don't want to stop on the doorstep of destiny. You don't want to stop on the doorstep of destiny. You don't want to stop when you're at the little twig phase. You don't want to stop when you're at the immature phase. And when I say stop, you may not be at a point where you're going to stop. I almost quit 3 years before I became a national. And I won't get into that story, but it doesn't matter. You know, you can be in your own mind stopping yourself and we don't even realize it. Okay. So don't stop, even though you just keep going. And if you're here this weekend or this retreat, you're already starting to see results. You're excited. Just keep going. Our position is on purpose. And I love this explanation because maybe you've been through this in your business before. Maybe you haven't. Maybe you're going to get there and you're going to remember me sharing this with you. But there may be a time when you're in a position in your business and you're like, you know, maybe you're a top director and you're like, I've been on 25 trips and now I'm ready to move to national, where somebody might look at you and go, yeah, I'd like to be in that point, right? But, or maybe you haven't won a trip yet and you really, really want to. You've done $500,000. So you have to know that your position is on purpose and that God is working behind the scenes on your behalf that you don't even know. Remember that seed. It might be, you know, layering the foundation. It might be the twig is there. But know that that position is on purpose. If you can imagine a painter, when you see a painter with a blank canvas and you ever see them with the strokes and they're painting and making this, and you're looking at that going, where is the masterpiece? Like you're going, where are you going to create something pretty? And all you see is like lines everywhere. Nothing seems to come together. What is he even painting? And then there might be a part where he's like stuck on one part of the picture, you know, and he's just drawing away and you're going, why is he just on that one section? By the time the picture is done, you step back and you go, oh my gosh, that is the focal point of the picture. That is the part of the picture that makes it great. That is what brings it all together. And again, that may be part of your journey. That is part of your roadmap. Maybe God has you in one position a little longer than you really want to be. And you're like, you don't realize he's working on you or working on your people, working on your situation, working so that when it's done, you look back and you go, oh, like when my director got quit and I was heartbroken, but then I developed 9 directors from her non-performing 24-person unit. And those 9 directors probably become a national. So that was a position that I didn't want to be in, but that was him working behind the scenes. Our position is part of the process wherever you may be. And God is painting that masterpiece. So at every phase, it's important for you to know at every phase of that level, of those levels, that the seed is growing. So at every phase that you're at, you may not see the growth in yourself, but you really are having that growth in yourself. You just have to know it. The hardest thing, you know, it's so easy to have that faith when everything's going great. You know, we're on a high, but it's when you continue to have that faith when there is no evidence. But the good thing is this, your position isn't permanent. Yay. And, you know, you are all on your way to national sales director. I hope that you say that loud and clear, unequivocally for yourselves. I am a national sales director. I am exactly at the position I need to be for explosive growth in my future area. And it is all coming together because everything that happens is working on my behalf. And everything is happening for me in my life. Not everything is happening to me, but everything is happening for me. What if you said that every day? Everything is happening for me. Everything is happening for me. This is part of the plan. You will be unshakable. You will absolutely be unshakable with how you're going to grow in your strength. So, just know that the people and the energy meant for you will come to you. So move forward with gratitude so that the right people are going to come into your life, and know that they are on the way. You might already have some great hot shots in your unit, but you're going to get some more. They're going to come in abundance and overflowing. You know, if God promised you the victory, and I believe he put that in your heart, and that victory of national is yours. And, you know, he put that victory in the hearts of the Israelites. They just happened to get scared when they saw the giants, you know, and they were like, oh, you know, you wouldn't believe the giants that are over there. And they focused on the giants instead of, you know, if you know that the giants are that big, whatever the giant is, maybe it's my goal is to be national in 18 months and only this many more directors. And I need, you know, whatever the giant is, knowing that the giant is that big, look at it like, okay, this is the giant. It's that big. But imagine how much greater my God is within me that's going to conquer those giants. And it doesn't matter how it looks, is that God is surrounding me and he is going to work on my behalf. So God is going to use you and your challenges to show that you are valuable and are a part of showing and glorifying his kingdom. So for me, I feel like becoming a national sales director was such a faith journey for me and made me stronger in my faith. I think all of you probably already have a great work ethic, or you wouldn't be where you are. Clearly, you set yourself a specific non-negotiable deadline goal to do whatever it takes to be where you are sitting right now. You guys you've got the work ethic, you've got the vision, you've got the determination and the tenacity, you've got it all. And so, and I believe you probably have the faith, but it might be in a different level. And so I encourage you to really, truly rely on that, because if you rely on yourself and your own strengths, I don't know how it will come together without that. So keeping this in front of you in a sheet protector, praying over your people daily. And even if, like, literally, I'll just carry it with me. I had it in my driver's seat, because what you focus on grows. And when you see it, and then it's also a good conversation. If people see you with it, they're gonna be like, well, what is that? And you're telling the story. You're building your national area right there. And the more you tell the story, the more it's going to come to fruition. It's kind of like Mary Kay taught us. You want to do an interview every single day. Not just because you're going to get the recruits, which you will, but because every time and then my director always said, don't just do it yourself, do it with a consultant too. Because every time you share the marketing plan, it doesn't matter whether you sign the person up or not. The person you're reselling is yourself and the consultant. And the more you do that, the more solid you're going to be, right? We know that if you do the interviews, the recruits will come. But if you're personally sharing the opportunity every single day without fail, you're going to be sold every single day and be that much more excited on the opportunity. And the same is true with talking about the story of building your national area. Well, let me just tell you, this is so exciting. I look at all my beautiful leaders. I just pray over them every day. And I'm so excited. These are the women that I'm developing to be leaders. And people are going to be like, what? You know what I'm saying? Take it with you to your parties. And you don't even have to say anything about it. Just kind of have it there. Somebody's bound to ask. Do you know what I'm saying? People want to be a part of something, be a part of a movement, be a part of something huge and contribute. They want to look for significance. They want to find a purpose. And I love that this business really helps us do that. So anyways, I think I've gone over my time, but does anybody have any questions?
No, but we miss you. No, that was powerful. Thank you.
I miss you too, guys. I love you.
Thank you so much, Sylvia. We will see you next week on a boat.
Yes. Thank you. I'll see you not this Saturday, but the next.
Yeah, I'll see you in Europe.
Yay.
Okay, love you, friends.